This is a familiar scene for the Big Blue Nation. Between NCAA tournament games and Champions Classic matchups, tonight's game between the Wildcats and the Spartans will be the 7th time John Calipari's Wildcats have stepped foot on this court. Anytime John Calipari opens the doors to one of his practices, you guys know we're going to take advantage of it. And when he does, it probably means he has something special in store for us. That was certainly the case today. You talked about clock management. Obviously, a huge part of that is how you were able to run the ball in the second half. From your perspective, what changed in the second half specifically to get the run game into a rhythm like that, really for the first time we've seen this season?
I think it was just repetition.
We've heard it over and over again tonight. This whole thing started with you. How did it come about in your words? Behind me right now are 10 brand new Wildcats practicing in a way that is so competitive. 2 of those new faces actually showed up to practice today in knee pads.
I was told I couldn't come back to practice without my knee pads on.
Who told you that?
Coach Elsie.
It's Kentucky versus Marshall. The Wildcats taking on the Thundering Herd, number 6 hosting number 7. 2 former Conference USA foes reunited for the first time tonight to kick off Sun Belt play here at the Wendell and Vicki Bell Soccer Complex in Lexington, Kentucky, where it is a beautiful night for a top 10 matchup. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN Plus. I'm Maggie Davis.
And they have the momentum. Nick Goodman with the shot, and it goes in. He finds the back of the net for the Wildcats with a slide to the corner. His teammates will find him there, because we are all tied up in Lexington.
The week break is massive.
You're right.
Does it feel like a long time? I mean, it's been a long time since you guys have had a whole week like that.
Yeah. I mean, we just went from playing 3 games in a week to now we're going to have no games in a week. So,
what are you going to do with all that free time?
Sleep.
I understand his decision, and that's what it was.
And then fast forward a year, and you're facing the same decision.
Yes.
What was that process like for you?
The crazy thing about it, he was trying to get me to come when he entered the transfer portal.
Right. We have to point out that you are wearing Crocs. Is this your normal soccer footwear?
No.
Do you think some of those skills translate to basketball at all?
I mean, soccer really helped me in developing my footwork.
In your position, with your size and how you play the game, that's not a skill everybody has. Do you think that makes you different than other bigs?
I believe so.
This is BBN Tonight.
Good evening, happy Monday, and welcome into BBN Tonight. I'm Maggie Davis.
Now it's good against good.
Yes, and I think Big Blue Nation is hungry for good on good, like you said. And Tom, actually, Michigan State, first team out of the AP this week. So receiving votes, definitely good. Tom, you heard us talking up top about that 2023 class, a historic collection of 5-star recruits all coming to Lexington next year. Listen to what Coach Cal said about the group as a whole. Well, you have had a lot of successful teams here over the years, but this was the first one to be unbeaten in the regular season. What do you think makes this group and this season different for you guys?
Well, I don't know if you've ever thrown a hammer. It's a hammer throw, but it's a stone.
Not every day.
I know, right?
Title IX has officially been the law of the land for 50 years, and because of that, about 40 years ago, women's varsity swimming officially came to the University of Kentucky. It wasn't a given. In fact, the club team was first elevated to varsity status after a lawsuit was brought against the university. In talking with members of that original team, one thing was clear: the program wasn't what it is now. They had to fight for pool time and warm-ups. They were looked down upon by other SEC swimmers. They even described themselves as a ragtag group. But it was the camaraderie, the competition, and most of all, the opportunity they remember the most.
Maggie Davis joins us now. Mags, what can you tell us about this upcoming championship?
Well, first of all, it's the SEC Match Play Championship. It starts on Sunday, and it's essentially giving SEC men's golf programs a second conference championship every year. If you're thinking, Jordan Anthony, where have I heard that name before? I don't know. It sounds familiar, probably because he's also going to be on the UK football team. He's coming to Lexington as a 2-sport athlete, and of course, he's been on this show before, so you could have seen his interview right here on BBN Tonight. He's a sprinter on the track and a wide receiver on the field.
I just thought of the stereotypes that people have of cheerleaders and of federal judges, and they just couldn't be farther apart, right? You probably didn't know whether I was going to bounce down these stairs with pom-poms singing the UK fight song or walk in seriously in a black robe and pounding a gavel.
Throughout her life, Judge Kaufman has done both. After graduating from UK's College of Law in 1978, she began working as a trial lawyer.
I was a civil rights lawyer. Not until I was a couple of years in did I even have my first Title IX case. It was my very first introduction to discrimination. My partner, I still remember, tossed a file on my desk and said, "Here's a case. It involves Title IX. I don't know what to do with it. Will you figure it out?
That case
Set the direction of my career as a civil rights lawyer.
Judge Kaufman was appointed as United States District Judge for the Eastern and Western Districts of Kentucky. She was sworn in as Kentucky's first female federal judge on October 22, 1993. 14 years later, she was elevated to Chief Judge of the Eastern District of Kentucky. She was also the first woman to hold that position.
Well, you know that cheerleader stereotype, right? Well, you know, sometimes when you just smile and go in all prepared and just smile, people underestimate you.
4 if we go through Sunday. So.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
Tom, busiest guy we know. We always appreciate his time. Still ahead for us this evening, the men's soccer team had the best weekend out of any of us. Conference champions. We'll talk about that right after the break.